Okay, a very brief look at iBRoad as the project, which has completed most of its cycle in terms of material development, in terms of its outputs, and is now in a phase of presenting its outputs and encouraging other countries and areas and authorities to make use of its results. Very briefly, what is iBRoad? It's a solution. It's a concept for the Building Renovation Passport as a solution to support deep staged renovation. And this is supported further by a logbook, a repository of building information such as blueprints, works implemented, energy consumption, production, etc. This is in brief what iBRoad is, but the methodologies and the tools that have been produced are flexible and can be adapted to different situations, but preliminary assessment and the structured approach to deployment are important. This is what we see today in today's webinar. In addition, in order to achieve the full potential, there are surrounding policy instruments that are essential. These instruments, economic, regulatory, and information, which support a synergistic approach, have been presented in the previous webinars. All the webinars are put on iBRoad's YouTube channel and are available. The building renovation is a challenge for building owners that are not themselves specialists, and they need specific information, where to start from, in what order to do things. This is not always evident. The iBRoad project supports the logic of a building renovation roadmap that outlines all the steps that need to be done in order to reach a much better performance standard for one's building. We focus on single-family houses, and but thereon the principle can be used elsewhere as well. The logic is to future-proof any kind of development in a building, so as to avoid mistakes that in the future might mean to duplicate the effort and the costs. This is what we usually call the lock-in effect, and this is what we try to avoid. This building renovation roadmap is supported by a logbook, as I said, a repository of information. And here I should note something which is perhaps also relevant to the current situation that we are witnessing across the world, that all of the developments in a house that can be included in a logbook and in a renovation roadmap don't just have to do with energy efficiency. Of course, energy efficiency, energy performance are very important, and they are the starting point, as they are the policy, the energy policy, the climate policy of Europe that supports all these initiatives. However, any other kind of renovation could also be part of such a planning and should be planned accordingly. The combination of the energy of the renovation roadmap and the logbook is what we call a building renovation passport. So we are presenting in effect a specific model for the building renovation passports, as now mentioned in the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive. And to clarify that this was not mentioned when iBRoad commenced. At the time, we researched what is happening in terms of the surrounding policy framework in several countries, in 8 countries, and we also looked at the specific front-runner projects in respect to the building renovation passport in 3 countries, in 4 countries in fact, but with different different approaches in each. The logic behind it was also discussed with stakeholders, with building owners at the level of research, market research that took place in the 3 pilot countries, and also in collaboration with stakeholders in special focus groups. The approach was structured in the reports that you see here, and the building logbooks, what should include in terms of data, what background work should be done in order to achieve these tools. So there is a whole set of reports and instruments and software that has been developed around this, and in particular methodologies for supporting such a step-by-step approach. These have been discussed in stakeholder meetings, and the results are also presented in reports. In brief, we are talking about a structured approach which is modular and can be combined with existing instruments, existing databases, and other services in a country. These are then adapted to the specific pilot countries where iBRoad would be tested. Then we had training around these, the methodologies and the step-by-step of the approach, all in specific handbooks and toolkits. The pilot testing in the 4 countries, 3 for both the roadmap and the logbook, and 1 Germany in addition just for the logbook, as Germany has its own roadmap in practice. And the results are presented in these reports. And thereon, as I said, we're now looking at how this approach can be expanded, and we are still looking for potential other areas where this could be pilot tested, at least in a limited respect, until the end of the project. So today we are going to present, as I said, how states can implement iBRoad, whereas recently we presented also the supporting instruments. All of this information, as mentioned, is in our website. I invite you to visit the website and to subscribe to our news alerts. Let me clarify that we have your information, your contact details only for this webinar, but in order to keep you updated, you should subscribe, and we invite you to subscribe to our news alerts at the website. You can, of course, download the reports. They are all free. You can also view previous webinars and other videos in our YouTube channel. And if you are interested in doing more with iBRoad, please do get in touch with us directly. So thank you very much, and I'll give the floor for the main presentations of today, starting with Vivian Dorizas from BPIE.
Thank you, Alexander. Thank you, Alice, for the introductions. Share my screen.